Yeah, you just got to open up the chat, or sorry, the video, and then mute it.
Yeah. Okay, you're still not live though.
Well, it's showing that I'm currently.
Oh, here's coming. Yeah, this is it. Okay, now we got to make sure we quiet that out.
Yeah, crack it open and shut the audio off.
So what do I have to do here?
To see the chat?
I have to open up another window and go into YouTube?
Yeah, go to Clyde's channel, and then you'll find.
Oh, we've already got people saying first. You got 2 people saying second.
Yeah.
Live.
Okay. No, I'm second.
They're fighting over it.
Yeah. All you got to do is find Clyde's channel, click on the live stream, and then pop out the chat and close his video, his YouTube channel, so that it doesn't echo.
Yeah, did you catch that, Steve Rob?
Yeah. Okay, let me just try this here.
Yeah, maybe you should get.
And if you just shrink down the window that you're chatting on, and then have the chat in the background, then you can see the chat and see us live, and there won't be a delay, like a lag.
Yeah. Maybe get Nicole to help you so I can get a first-person look for finally. That went by.
There's somebody said no sound. Is there no sound? Oh, okay. Helga's on there, and she says she can hear us fine.
Yeah, you might want to check your own device then.
Oh, it looks like Steve Rob just jumped out.
Oh, yeah, you must be getting Nicole in.
We'll have to wait until he gets back, because well, basically the whole reason I'm doing this live stream right now is because I watched Steve Rob's video, one of his recent videos, and I'm watching it going, I'm gonna do a response to this, and then I'm like, well, I could just get Steve Rob on the horn and we just talk about it. And then you came to mind, Thomas. I was like, I gotta get you in here.
Yeah, no, this was not a work in progress. We've been meaning to do a live chat for quite some time.
Oh, for a while now. And actually, I still got to get you in for one of my usual chats that I do on the channel, which are pre-recorded, and then I put them together as a single video, not really a live thing, but I got to get you in for that. But then I thought, well, why don't you don't live that far away from me. I'm not going to dox you or anything, but you can always just come up here and do that.
Yeah, no, I've got a new vehicle now that needs a long test drive. I might just drop by one of these days.
Oh, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. You know, I'm off weekends. We both got essentially the same schedule, so.
Yeah. So,
Steve Rob.
Sorted.
Yeah, so for you guys that are in watching this live, I have 2 friends here that are friends of mine on YouTube and have been for quite some time. I've got Thomas EXOVCDS. Say hello, Thomas.
Hello. I'm just contributing some money here. Hold on. All right. I always wanted to know my Visa info, and let me see if that works. There you go.
Oh boy, super chats.
Yeah.
First super chat I've ever had. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I've given lots of super chats. I like these live streams, and I've gotten involved in quite a few of them. But this is, apart from the one that I did in Tokyo, this is my first sit-in live chat on my channel. So welcome, guys. And the other person that I have here is another good friend of mine on YouTube and has been for a long time, Steve Rob. Steve Rob, say hello.
How you doing, guys?
And for most of you, you probably know who both of these guys are. And anyway, we're having a chat because Steve Rob put up a video recently talking about whether or not to get into the automotive trade. And it was a long-winded video. One take, as usual, with Steve Rob. And yeah, he made a lot of good points, a lot that I agreed with, and some that I disagreed with. So I figured we get on here and we just, instead of me doing a video response, why not just chat about it? And I brought Thomas in because, well, Thomas, you're also a technician, but you're a different kind of technician than I am. Well,
you're a trash guy.
Yeah, you're a trash guy. Yeah, Thomas, you do a lot with Volkswagen, Audi. I tend to just like hide when one of those rolls into our shop.
It
No,
really
I have to work on them
can't
too.
be that much of a difference. It can't be that much of a difference.
Well, there's differences in the programming and the diagnostic tools that you use for it. It's really fun reaching into an engine bay, and any plastic that you touch just shatters.
Yeah.
that's something that happens with Volkswagens and Audis.
But you know, to be fair, that's all just old age, right? The new when the plastic won't break if it's still new, if it's a new vehicle. So all the headaches that people run into is just because of the fact that it is an older vehicle.
Yes, but wasn't it that back in I can't remember exactly when, but the European Union made some regulation that plastics sold in automobiles had to be biodegradable within a certain time frame?
Well, it could very well be, yeah.
Yeah, that's something I heard, you know, as I don't know if it's a rumor or what, but the reason why German plastics tend to break really, really soon. Like, I think it's like a 5-year-old vehicle and you just got to stay away from that plastic stuff.
After 20 years, nothing left. It's all biodegraded.
Yeah. It's like planned obsolescence is what some people call it.
Okay, Clyde, I got a question for you here, or Thomas.
Shoot, buddy.
I've got both the windows open. I got the Google Hangout window open as well as the other window. And how do I close the Google Hangout? If I press the X, it will just kick me out. Yeah,
you don't want to close the Google Hangout. You want to have that in the foreground, but shrink it down and put it off to the side so you can see us chatting. And then in the back behind it, the window behind it will have the chat window from YouTube. And then you'll be able to see who's talking in the chats.
Okay, so I'm trying to figure out how do I close that one.
Just hit the little 3 dots for the pop-out chat. Once that's popped out, you can close the other one. Or get a second monitor. We'll wait. Go to the local store. Get a second monitor. That's what I'm looking at. I got the chat on the one monitor and the video on the other.
Oh, because I'm looking at this, I'm figuring, okay, so how do I minimize the Google Hangouts and keep the other one up? So the 3 dots.
Well, yeah, you're working on a Windows computer.
Yeah. So there's participants, pop-out chat, and toggle timestamp.
See, what I usually just grab the window in the corner and shrink it down. So it's like, you know, 2/3 of the screen. And if you have the chat window, like the YouTube window behind in a separate window, and then you just select your Google Chats as the foreground window, you'll see what's behind it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I'll try that.
Get Nicole. She'll know how to do it.
Yeah, James Mickelson, he says that breakage is in the Canadian cold, making it brittle, talking about the plastics. And then Stoneheart06 says the plastics don't do well here in the heat of Texas either. My daughter's beetles like an egg.
Yeah, there's a huge time lag.
Well, there's a huge time lag if you're watching us on YouTube, but if you're watching us in the Google Hangouts.
Okay, actually, yeah, go back to the YouTube window with the time lag. Pause that video.
Yes.
Okay, and now go find the little 3 dots where it says pop out chat.
Yes.
Click on that and pop out chat.
Yes.
Now you can go back to the YouTube and close the whole tab, the YouTube video. Get rid of it. Dog wants to help.
Come on, Gramps, let's go.
Oh, come on.
Because yeah, once you click on anything else but the chat, once the chat's popped out, it'll disappear because it's no longer prominent, right? So you have to move your tabs around or your windows around. Grab the edge of a window and make it smaller so that your Google video is smaller, takes up less space, and then you have room for your chat right beside it.
Are you kidding me?
Okay, actually, let me.
Or you can just have the Google Hangout that we're in currently, and then we'll tell you what's in the chat.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab a beer. This seems like a beer opportunity.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I'm just staying in that one window there.
Are you okay? There's no lag now.
There's no lag.
Okay, that's the way you want it. Because having the lag is really annoying. I think there's about a 5 to 10 second lag between this and what's being broadcast on YouTube right now.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it gives you time to get rid of shit and all the other stuff. Beep, beep. Okay. Oh, cheers, guys.
Cheers.
And what are we drinking there besides the Pabst Blue Ribbon?
Coconut water.
Coconut water?
Yeah, natural spring water. There you go. Okay, so what prompted this whole live stream at all was, Steve Rob, your video where you're talking about why to or why not to become an automotive technician. And a lot of it was your opinion on it, but a lot of it was why you personally didn't get in and become a technician, and rather you took the career that you did as an auto worker for General Motors.
And I think it was a good choice. There's always ups and downs to any field. There's some people in the automotive trades that just love their job. They love going into work every day. They love fixing cars. For me, there's no way you could ever twist my arm to do that for a living. I'd rather work on the dirtiest job on the assembly line, you know, before doing a lot of automotive work, because it's, from what I've seen, it's not really a friendly atmosphere. I mean, you're always working in, you know, like conditions that are pretty tough and it's demanding on you. It's a lot easier working on the assembly line, to tell you the truth. You know, indoors, you're not, you know, sucking in fumes, or you're, you know, in chemicals, or, you know, this kind of stuff.
Depends on the plant that you work at, though.
Well, today they're all pretty well mechanized, and most of the jobs that were really nasty jobs years ago, they don't exist anymore. You know, so I mean, but the type of work is tough. It's, you know, when you're watching YouTube videos and you see the professional guys on YouTube doing YouTube videos and they're automotive technicians, there's no way the average guy like me or somebody who's a do-it-yourselfer can ever get close to doing that type of jobs without cutting yourself, you know, stabbing yourself with a screwdriver, or trying to do some of these jobs, you know, where these guys are doing it day in and day out. And none of us can do them jobs. We can just say, oh, that was a great repair and that kind of stuff. But you know what? Most of us can't do them jobs. Not even close.
Well, it's not that you can't do the jobs. I think like most of the stuff that you see on YouTube and people doing as automotive techs are things that, you know, anyone can accomplish. But the real skill as an automotive tech is to do it in a timely fashion. That's really where the talent lies.
Right. Like as a hobby, you can do it. But I've seen so many guys take an engine out of a vehicle, strip it right down to the bare block, and then put a short block in. And I tell you what, how many guys can do that? Not too many guys can do that. Maybe do it over a winter as a project, but not too many are going to do it in 2 days or 1 day.
He's talking about you, Badger, if you're watching. Actually, I just did one of those jobs on a Mazda 3 2 weeks ago. I had to change over short block, and I did it under time.
Yes, and of course, what are you dealing with? You're dealing with a preset time that the average person should be able to do it in the automotive field.
Mm-hmm. The average professional should be able to accomplish it within this amount of time.
Right. That's right. So the big disadvantage I see on YouTube is professional technicians doing a lot of work where they just take it for granted, a lot of stuff that they're doing. But when I'm watching Thomas, for instance, and I see him doing a lot of stuff, I'm picking up stuff that he probably doesn't even realize most of the time because he's just doing it day in and day out. But for the average person tries to actually do that job, it is not that easy. I seen him doing one there on a replacing some kind of a valve on the back of that Volkswagen engine. And you are going in there blind with mirrors and everything else. I'd love to see somebody, you know, try that job by themselves without having any video to take a look at, because you couldn't even see them nuts and bolts in the back. You had to feel for them and use a mirror.
That's right. That's what she said.
Yeah.
You know, but that's it. That's the whole thing of the apprenticeship, right? So you learn, you've got 4 years to learn or to get comfortable with what you're doing. And that's where you learn all those little tricks of working blind and go by feel. And just today, I got an email from somebody under one of my videos that I posted recently. It was the alternator removal on that Eurovan 2.5 liter. So the question was, is this the same procedure for a Sebring 2.5?
Yeah, right.
Completely different manufacturer, completely different engine, except for the liter wise, you know, and they assumed that it would be the same. And that's the do-it-yourselfer mentality. If you have no actual clue in terms of what's going on, they figure just because it's a 2.5, it's going to be the same or similar. So I did go look up the information on Mitchell, and I forwarded that. So it was different, but it seemed simple enough. But for people to think that, you know, things are just, you know, or fairly simple to do is pretty much, well, I'm not going to say wrong, but you definitely can't expect things to be the same across the manufacturers, right? And even if I have a hard time working on stuff that I'm not familiar with because it's not in my comfort zone, so I will definitely take longer. And thank God we're not flat rate where I work, because I'd be losing my shirt. I'd be sitting here topless like Ivan.
Yeah, and there's some ones that it's just impossible to get any data on. Just this past week, I had a Hyundai Elantra, and I had to do the alternator on it, and there is no info on it. It was the single hardest alternator I've ever changed in my life.
Yep.
It looked like it was supposed to come out the bottom if you take the air conditioning compressor off. So I did all of that to find out that no way, it's not going out there. And I ended up having to move the fan shroud over, and there was like this tight squeeze after you unbolt the oil dipstick tube. If you get it out just enough and you push the radiator forward enough, it slips through.
Yes.
So, like, needless to say, I was way over time on that job. So, like, yeah, if you're working flat rate, like, there's certain jobs that'll make you lose your shirt, but then there are other jobs that are just like gravy. I've done this a bunch of times, and I can hang brakes all day long and just make a killing if I got gravy work like that. But, you know, it doesn't always come like that, right? So there's trade-offs for the flat rate system.
Mm-hmm.
Thomas, what would you prefer, really? Like, do you think that the flat rate system, that you could make more money if you had the vehicles lined up, or would you rather take the hourly rate?
I would probably go with the hourly rate still. Flat rate, there's no matter what you do with flat rate, you always have to be pushing yourself, you know, in terms of working fast, have your butt in gear, so to speak. Our apprentice is walking around pretty slow these days, you know, dragging his feet still, and I'm sometimes looking at him, you know, even just walking across the shop to get a quart of oil or whatever. You know, I don't know if it's the mentality or because he's just starting out, he's walking slow in my mind, right? And yes. He's got to work, he's got to finish something. So I always have a pace that's adequate in terms of that I think is adequate to finish a job. But working on flat rate, no, even if the money were twice as good as I'm getting right now, I just, you know, what other job, even a plumber that shows up, do you see him hustling underneath your sink? You know, no way. He's just working.
You would if he was flat rate.
Hey, let's to bring that about a bill change or something. Get all the plumbers to be on flat rate. Yeah.
You'd see him, they'd be moving lickety split if that were the case.
A perfect example is a friend of mine. He had an apprentice, and he was a 4th-year apprentice, and he was making $22 an hour.
Badger's in town. Sorry.
Oh, Badger's in there. Hey, Badger, how you doing, buddy?
And they told him that once he gets his license, he goes flat rate. Well, he put it off and he didn't want to get his license because he did not want to go flat rate. And at the dealership, you have no choice but to go flat rate. At least he had the income of $22 an hour coming in when he was an apprentice.
An apprentice at 22, I started off at $7 an hour.
Yeah.
Well, what year was that?
92.
92. I started off at $6.33 in 1977.
And then when you were leaving, how much you were getting paid?
Just under $35 an hour.
Yeah, I'm at 32 right now.
Yeah.
You know, and for me, a single person, that's fine. But you know, I'm renting a small basement. I couldn't hack it to find my own place. We were talking about that too, building a little granny shack to live in. I should get a little trailer maybe and park that someplace.
But you know, when you think about it, in the automotive field, you're limited to how many hours a day you can work. But the good part about it is you can take that trade and do it on the side. And so many guys do that, and they do the jobs on the side to make income on the side. Where if you're in most other trades, there's not too many millwrights doing jobs on the sides. Electricians is another one that can do jobs on the side. So
the biggest thing though in the automotive industry, especially in IATN and all these other, we were talking about that earlier, governing bodies or whatnot, if you want to call them that, they all are against working on the side, because working on the side can affect the industry as a whole, because you're, you know, working for a case of beer or whatever, and then people don't go to the regular shops because, you know, they supposedly charge an arm and a leg, when it's the reality of what a job costs. I mean, we get people complaining about a $90 oil change. We charge a half an hour for an oil change. Our shop rate is $105, right? So half of that is just labor alone, and then you got your parts. We can't sell an oil change for under $30 because my time alone, he's already paying more than that for half an hour's labor, right?
Yeah.
So if guys work on the side, you know, get the whole neighborhood, if he works on those cars, it's good for him, obviously making money, but then those guys aren't going to shops, right? So
well, we lose money at my shop on every oil change.
Yeah, no, all shops mainly. If the shop is set up right, if it's not a oil change lube shop, an oil change is there to get people not just in the door, but we charge them fairly in terms of at least, like I said, in our mind, but we still lose money on it. And the hope is that we find stuff that needs attention, and then we can make up that money, you know? Yeah,
that's the whole point. You're actually doing a proper inspection on the car.
Yep.
And you're doing it out of necessity for your own self, right? You're going to do a proper inspection. You're going to find anything that's safety related or recommended by the manufacturer for that interval in kilometers or miles, and you're going to recommend it to the customer. Like I tell my friends all the time, like, you go to Jiffy Lubes and you get your oil pulled out and a new filter put on and new oil in. You don't know if something's going wrong with your car. Mm-hmm. Like, you take it to a proper garage and you'll find out, and you'll get recommendations on just to know the health of your automobile.
Yep. And they'll know what to look for.
I'll give you a perfect example of the general public and how they feel about recommendations from your automobile technician. All the people that I know, especially the females, do not trust a lot of times when they go to, especially a dealership, and they go in there for an oil change and they get the service writer to write up $600 worth of work that needs to be done on their car. Mm-hmm. This is quite common. You see it a lot. You know, I think that there's a lot of mistrust in the business. Myself, if it was for me, I always recommend people not to go to a dealership. I recommend they go to a local service station, a garage, get to know the people, because when you need your car fixed, you don't want to just show up there when you need your car fixed. because you're not a customer. You're just somebody off the street that just wants their car fixed. But if you go there and get your regular service done, you'll get far better treatment than going to a dealership where you're just a number, to tell you the truth. They don't know you.
I don't want this to be a slag fest on dealerships, but like there's definitely a moral hazard there when it comes to bringing your car to the place that holds the warranty on the car, right? So you bring your car and they may overlook stuff that are questionable, but it falls under warranty and they don't want to do the warranty work. You know what I mean? Like, oh, the ball joint's got a little play in it, but I think it's within spec, and you let it go, right? Because you know you're going to be doing it for free, so you just turn it away. But if you bring it to an independent shop, they'll inspect it, they'll say it's no good, and then you can go back to the dealer for the warranty, which we get a lot of that. We get a lot of that where, you know, people get the services done, but then they don't do the work at our shop because they go in for the warranty claim.
Yeah, most of the people, they buy a brand new car, at least out in Ontario, quite a few dealerships offer free oil changes to keep you in there for during the first, you know, 3 to 5 years of owning your vehicle. And hopefully you'll stay there and do brake jobs and everything else. But once the vehicle's out of warranty, most people like to take their vehicle to an independent shop. For one thing, in their mind, they're thinking it's less expensive, and they don't see a service writer. They actually talk to the guy that's going to fix their vehicle. And that's, you know, something that the automotive business, at least here in Ontario, is lacking, because the independent shops are hard to find anymore. There's very few, you know.
Well, yeah, there's a lot that brings that situation about. I mean, and I think you hit that in your video when you were talking about there's not a lot of techs anymore. There's not a lot of people getting into the industry.
And to tell you the truth, they don't need.
What was it that you said? You said shops don't have as many techs anymore, and I find the reason for that is there's not enough techs out there anymore.
Well, I think the opposite, because take, for instance, in the auto plants, there's only 10% of the people working in the auto plants that there was in the 1970s, but we make 4 times more of the vehicles. And when you take a look at the automotive repair business, there's less automotive techs required at a dealership than they did years ago. A lot of the jobs don't exist. When's the last time somebody replaced an exhaust on a vehicle? My 2002 Silverado still has the original exhaust. People don't do tune-ups anymore. There's a lot of stuff. They used to have tune-up technicians. They used to have transmission guys. 2 dealerships friends work at, there's no transmission guy in there. Everything is subcontracted out. At the Ford dealership, they don't even do struts anymore. That's contracted out.
Well, transmissions, for one, is more of a modular thing anymore. Like, yes, it's rare to find transmission shops, and your average run-of-the-mill re mechanic, R&R mechanic, doesn't rebuild transmissions. They replace transmissions.
No.
Tune-ups nowadays are spark plugs.
Yeah.
And an intake clean. It's you're not tuning a carburetor, you're not setting the timing, you're not doing any of that stuff anymore. And what was the other one that you were saying?
Well, you know, when you think about it, the amount of people,
the modular thing. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The amount of people that are required to work in a dealership today are far less than it was 25 years ago. You don't have the same amount of staff. And at my friends' dealerships, they get apprentices in, and they're lucky to last 6-7 months, and they're gone. There's no money in it when they first start out, and a lot of people just can't make a go of it, you know, making $13 an hour.
Yeah, but there wasn't money in it when I first got started. That's the thing. Is this a generational thing where, you know, they're told in school that, you know, go out there and work and everybody gets treated equally, and then you find out that no, the older guys get paid more than you do, and you gotta. I really don't think you gotta pull them ropes and.
Yeah, I don't think that people want to spend the time and investing in themselves. The best thing you could do is invest in yourself as much as possible for your own skill, your own training, and everything else. But today, everything is instant. Everybody wants instant success. They want instant everything. And being
but I don't think that's a problem, Steve. I don't know if that's a problem with the automotive industry or if that's a problem that affects the automotive industry. You know what I mean?
It's all skilled trades. You try and get a guy that wants to do house framing, you know, or get somebody who wants to be a welder or all kinds of trades. It's hard to find somebody, you know, in the younger generation that wants to do it, because it's not something that they aspire to. They've been teaching everybody for the last 15 years to go to university and get your BA, and them jobs don't exist. Like, all these university grads are
because they rather go
every year. They'd rather go. They're working at Starbucks.
We actually had an apprentice at our shop at one point, and he just, like, no notice left, and the only reason he gave was, well, the summer's looking really nice, and I just want to go skateboarding for the summer.
Yeah. So,
like, what? You know what I mean? Like, a 20-something-year-old, like not a teenager, not a little kid.
No. I mean, you can't say across the board all the, you know, the generation that's growing up now, but I believe that the training centers really have hyped up the expectations of what an automotive technician is. You see them on TV all the time saying 90%, you know, placement, and, you know, you're going to get a job and all this kind of stuff. Well, most of these guys that graduate from these places, they're not turning wrenches on day one. So, no. You know.
No, but once you get your ticket, if you don't have a job, it's not a problem of the industry.
Right.
There are people dying to have technicians working for them. And if you're a ticketed technician, either you're horrible if you're unemployed and can't get a job, and then you have a bad reputation, or you just don't want to work. Like, if you're ticketed, you can work, and there are jobs. You'll get one.
Yeah. But the sector has changed a lot when you consider in 2008 to 2011, in North America, there was about 150 to 200 dealerships actually closed down. So we had a lot of technicians out there. In Ontario, there was a flood of technicians out there because we had, you know, dealerships closing down all over the place. So, you know, they all scooped up all the best techs. But today, does a dealership need to have that many? I know at the Ford dealership where my friends are, they purposely keep the apprentices around, the third and fourth year apprentices, and are less on the ticketed guys because they can make more money off of them.
Yeah, no, I see that. As soon as you have your ticket for a dealership, they got to pay more. So they'll take. That's right. Yeah, they'll take the apprentices over the technicians.
And they might also be afraid that once they're ticketed, that those guys will take off. I mean, back in the 90s, we used to get people looking for apprenticeships almost every other month. You know, people coming in, kids looking for work. Nowadays, I can't recall maybe 2-3 years that somebody walked in looking for a job. So there's definitely something going on with people not wanting to get into the trade, and you know, because of the fact, even the stigma still back when I first started. You know, oh, mechanic, you know. Only grease monkeys or low educated people would go into there. But like you said, you need brains these days to work on cars, and it's those people that do have the brains, they don't want to get their hands dirty, you know, because you're still going to get your hands dirty in the automotive field.
Yeah, it's a particular niche that, like, you need somebody, like you said, that wants to get dirty and wants to use their mind.
And not everybody can be a diagnostic tech.
Oh no, I'll never get there myself. I mean, I'm the first guy to admit it, you know. But considering when I first started, how things have changed, and I was able to sort of adapt, and I'm able to still keep up. So I was actually quite surprised, you know, or I am surprised. But it won't be long before I can't keep up. And that was one of my comments underneath your video, Steve. That you know, I'm lucky that over the next 20 years, all these older cars, the year 2000, you know, they may still be around. As long as I can get parts, I can keep them going. But anything newer, I'll never work on a Tesla, you know, or even hybrids. There's no way I'm going to work on a hybrid vehicle. First of all, you need the training for it. The boss needs to take it in, get all the equipment. And I know he's not going to do that. So, and being where I am. It's 25 years now in the same place. You know, in a way it's good, in a way it's bad. It's good in terms of easy commute to work, and I've gotten to know my customers. You know, customers have had kids. Those kids are learning to drive, and I've been there the whole time, right? But where was my point now? What was my point?
The comment left underneath the video.
Beer break, sorry.
Yeah,
beer break. There it is.
No point. No,
We were talking about kids not wanting to get into the trade in the first place.
Yeah, I know, and just I guess, sorry, yeah, the comment about me just being lucky enough, maybe I do have 20.
Flatrate Master just left a comment. I guess it's the time lag, because it was right as you were having a brain fart. He said, Thomas, you're way smarter than you give yourself credit for.
Well, no, see, that's, again, it's all in the editing. You know, I know my true limitations, and where I'm at, oh yeah, that was the thing, 25 years at the place I'm working at right now. If I had any cojones, so to speak, I would have left a long time ago, gone somewhere else. And, you know, because to learn more, you got to spread your horizons a bit, right? Or you push yourself more. And that's where that doubting Thomas factor I keep referring to with people. I just don't trust myself. And when I'm comfortable, I stick with where I'm at. And that's going to be my downfall until the lottery ticket kicks in.
I agree, Thomas. Like, most people do not like change. The worst thing I've ever seen in my life is every year when they would have a model change and people that were doing a particular job had to actually change and do something else. Well, I tell you what, people just do not like change. They like playing it safe. They like doing the same thing that they always done, and they're in their comfort zone. And that's just human nature. But I would say that,
you know what? I don't blame people for wanting to be in the comfort zone, and I don't.
Yes.
The automotive realm is for those people. Like,
no.
Go work at the post office. Like, you'll be really happy with that. Like, I'm not cutting those people up.
But when you think
like,
about,
yeah, it's definitely, there's a lot of people that are just happy with having a job that they don't really care much about, but pays well enough to make do with what you want to do in your life, and that's great.
Yeah,
we need those people in our society, right?
Yeah, I would say the main thing is that the next generation coming up, I find, is so easily offended by everything that you could possibly say. And most of the technicians that I know, you know, they're easygoing. You can joke around with them. They're not offensive at every particular thing that you could possibly say. And this is the problem that they're running into with hiring a lot of new people out of colleges and universities, is somehow, you know, the automotive trade is not like going into an office where everybody, you know, has to be delicate on what they're saying and don't say anything that might be considered offensive somehow or mistreated as speaking out of turn. And this is where, you know, a lot of the people don't want to go into the automotive trade because they find that it's the working atmosphere is not the best, you know, all the time either. You know, it's not like going into your McDonald's. And a lot of these people had McDonald's jobs, you know, when they first started out in high school and this kind of stuff. And how many wanted to go into be an automotive tech? I don't see too many. I go over to the dealership quite often, and I can look down, you know, all the way along, and the average guy is 45 to 65 years old.
Hey, Michael, you're in there. I saw you commenting. I just sent you a link to this live stream if you want to join in. I sent it to you on Google Hangouts or something like that through my Gmail anyway. So if you catch that, jump in.
Well, and I guess I should ask for permission. Am I going to be able to, or am I allowed to post this video on my channel later on? Because I am recording it.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I thought you were. Oh, okay. I thought you were just going to like rip it after it goes on.
Well, yeah, I'm going to record it. Well, it is recording, but I'm going to get rid of my green screen so that my copy will be less annoying to watch.
Oh, it'll be more.
How you doing, Michael?
Hey.
Hey there.
Michael, we got the Flatrate Master in the chat here with us. I knew you'd want to chime in.
Well, we were at the down at a lake house for the weekend and just got home. I was doing some work on YouTube and I'm like, oh, wait, they're live? So?
Just Flatrate came up so many times here, and I was like, oh, Michael's gonna want to get in here.
I wonder if the flat rate is different in America than it is in Canada.
Don't know.
Probably not, as far as how it works, and the times are based on the manufacturer. I mean, it's warranty time for, you know, what they decided the repair is worth, and the aftermarket just adds a multiplication factor to it as far as what you get paid for customer pay.
Yeah, and the Mitchell times that we get up here and the all data times are the same as they get in the US.
Yeah.
So it's
yeah,
just time, and then like how much it charges on you, right?
Like the pay itself. I mean, there's a 30% difference in the dollar.
Oh, right. Yeah, like how much technicians get paid per hour compared to the US?
Yeah, like I mean, like if you're a flat rate guy in the States doing the same job as a flat rate job in Canada, is the pay going to be the same?
Well, I think it's different on so many levels, not just like between Canada and the US. Like I'm sure Michael makes a way better flat rate than some other techs that just know how to hang brakes, right?
Well, I mean, it's like, even geography. Like, I live in the suburbs of Atlanta. I'd make $10 to $15 less an hour flat rate working here, not counting way less hours than I do in Buckhead. So I mean, geography it varies pretty considerably just by where you live.
Yeah, and that has obviously to do with like the supply and demand curve of technicians in that area, right?
Well,
somebody's frozen.
God, just freeze up.
No, it's also, again, the hourly. I mean,
it has to do with these.
We lost you there for a bit.
Yeah, we lost you for a minute there. You froze up.
No, it's just, but it's like he said, or I think he was going to say, you know, there's multiple different hourly shop rates for different shops, and so if he's working for a flat rate shop that charges $120 an hour, compared to a guy that charges $60 an hour, you know, that guy is going to make more money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Out here it's $128 an hour.
Yeah, see, so it's the location geography is what counts, or you know, working in a city or in a small town. And if you're working in a small town, you're obviously not going to charge $120 an hour.
No,
our shop does.
No, I'm
and I'm the sticks.
But I mean, if you go to way out in the sticks, some places they're charging like $160 an hour. I mean, you go way up north. And go to Fort McMurray and see how much they charge for an automotive technician up there.
Outrageous, man. Outrageous.
Yeah, like $17 an hour to serve Tim Hortons coffee. You know,
yeah,
when the times were good.
That comes with the oil field industry, yeah. Right? And nobody wants to be in Fort Mac. If you look, if you okay, anyone who's watching this and that lives in Fort Mac and loves it, good on you. But like most people don't. They don't want to be there.
Yeah, but I mean, you could make a lot of dough. I mean, yeah, the garages up there are charged, like especially heavy equipment technicians and that. I mean, they're making $130,000, $140,000 a year easy.
Well, they were. Hopefully.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, hopefully Fort Mac picks up again, and then people will be making money again.
That's in every place where they have oil, I guess, and you know there's a lot more money flowing around. But generally, you know, like if you're in a small little outport somewhere, there's a minimum that you have to. I mean, there's some people I hear, you know, charging $60 an hour. I don't know how they can make any money at $60 an hour.
There's shops around, you know, South Georgia and Alabama, $55 an hour.
Wow.
How do they make money?
I don't know how they pay a tech.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
Like, and I don't know how I. Just blows my mind that, you know, I mean, how does anybody even in that shop make money? Just.
Yeah, it just sounds like charity to me at that rate.
Yeah. I mean, they must have low rent, you know, low insurance, you know, low everything else. But I mean, when it comes down to it, $60 an hour, I mean, you're starving to death if you own your own business charging $60 an hour and you have to pay technicians and, you know, and provide all the services that go with it. I mean, maybe the property is so cheap and the, you know, but the clientele, if they can't afford to pay the money, what do? Move somewhere where they can?
Yeah,
you know,
like for the most part, that's what goes down. Like shops just close up because you just don't have a clientele anymore.
Yeah, I mean, there's very few shops in Ontario now, like an independent shops. Very few of them around. You know, you're not going to see a lot of independent shops around. You have the chains, and that's pretty well it. You have the odd independent shop, and they just can't make a go of it because most of the time they try to take their vehicles to the dealership constantly, you know, to get updates and to get work done that they just can't do themselves. I remember somebody called Thomas up one time, and it was like at the last minute they wanted him to do a job on a Jetta because the technician couldn't do it himself, so he wanted Thomas to do it, right? Well, this happens at my friend's dealership all the time. They have independent garages that don't know how to do the repair. They want to take it to the dealership, have it fixed there, and then charge back the customer. And, you know, the dealership says, no, thank you, buddy. We're not interested in doing your jobs. And then you mark up the price for somebody else. Because what happens is when something goes wrong, they can't take it back to the dealership. Because as far as the customer is concerned, the dealership never done it. They think that the independent shop did it.
Well, there's certain things that we have, like we have an arrangement with some of the dealers in town. So we have an arrangement with the GM dealer in town where we'll do like work on our clientele's cars, but if it needs a reflash, we don't have a J box to do it. So
Right.
we take it to there just to get the reflash. That's it.
Yeah.
So it's in and out, 15 minutes back to our shop.
I think most independent shops have that kind of arrangement, but we're talking about like sending a timing chain job over to Thomas, have him do it, and then the independent shop bills his customer for Thomas's work, but Thomas's name ain't on the receipt.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's just shady practice right there.
Yes, and you know they try doing that, right? And the dealerships are wise to that.
We got Lucas Stone in the comments said North Carolina 65 an hour normal rate, and hey to everybody else that joined in the side chat there. Nikki G, Colden Customs, hey buddy, how you doing? And yeah, so 65 an hour normal flat rate in North Carolina.
That's low.
That's really low.
Depends on what part of North Carolina you're in, because I've been in parts of Charlotte, 140 at some independent shops. Raleigh, same thing. When I traveled for a living, I was in those shops a lot. And, I mean, but yeah, you get in the sticks just like you get in the sticks here in Georgia. I mean, it goes down pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think like where I live, everything's expensive in general. Like so, and Thomas can attest to this because he's not that far from me. Like Vancouver City is like, if you're not a millionaire, you can't own a home.
It's crazy
kind of place. So everything's going to be expensive, and that just shoots out to the outskirts too, right?
Mhm.
Well, I guess, you know, that's part of it as well. I mean, if you're trying to have employees working for you in a shop and they have to spend at least $800,000 on a house to live around your shop to go back and forth to work, you know, they can't be making, you know, $14 an hour because they can't survive.
Yeah, everything just kind of equals out when just living in a place is expensive. Everything else is going to become expensive. It just goes that way.
Yeah. You know, and so when somebody is in the automotive field and they want to retire, yeah, that's a tough goal because, you know, you don't have the same, you know, safety net as some other parts of society. And And you got to be able to make enough money while you're working to put away a lot of cash.
But
So,
Steve, you're judging this based on the deal that you got, which a lot of the automotive factory workers don't get anymore.
no. And remember, in Canada, only 5% of the people who are working that are non-governmental are getting a company pension. 5%. That's not a lot part of the population. That's a small part of the population. Most of the people that are getting pensions actually work for a municipality, a government, you know, that's who's getting the pensions. But 5%, I mean, but you know, like there's one friend of mine in the comments there. He's 67 years old and he was an auto tech for 45 years. He retired when he was 65. He can't make ends meet. He has to still go back and work a couple of days a week because there wasn't the money in it to save up, you know, $500,000, you know, for when you want to retire. You know, and it's like every other field. I mean, if you don't have the cash when you want to retire, it's not so easy.
Yeah, but not everybody's got like the sweet deal that the auto workers in like Southern Ontario had, and you know, parts of Michigan for the longest time. I mean, the deals that they got, because I grew up in Windsor, Ontario, which is like essentially Detroit. And I just remember how just absurd how much money these guys were making for the jobs that they were doing.
Yes, and you're right. It was a sweet deal. But now when you have people starting off in the auto plants at $14 an hour down in the States, $14 an hour, that's a tough goal. I don't know if you can survive on $14 an hour, but up here in Canada, there's nobody that can survive on $14 an hour. You know, I really don't understand that, but yeah, they went down to $14 an hour entry level, and you never become at full rate ever. So that's a tough goal, $14 an hour in the auto plants, and I guess they're getting the employees. You know, you're there. I think after 10 years, you get maximum rate of about $22 an hour.
Nikki G's asking, real question: is there labor unions in Canada? Yes, Nikki G, there are labor unions. The UAW has an offshoot in Canada called the CAW, which is the Canadian Auto Workers Union. And they have a huge stronghold on southwestern Ontario.
Ontario is the only province that has auto plants.
Oh, is that correct? I didn't know that. They're the only province that has auto plants.
Yeah, they're the only province that has auto plants.
There's nothing in Quebec, or?
There used to be in St. Therese. There was a plant that built the Buick Regal and the Camaro.
Well, that was their problem right there.
Yeah.
That's enough to put you out of business.
Yeah, you know, so the idea of a lot of it was why a lot of people don't get into the automotive field, and there's a lot of choices out there today. Like I said, over the last 15 years, they've been telling everybody to get a university degree, go to college, get an education, and they haven't been really pushing people to get into the skilled trades. Which
I think it's just been devastating. I think it's been totally devastating. Like, what are the degrees that people are getting, or like lesbian dance theory? Like, come on, is this going to be practical for putting yourself in a job position and making a living, you know, as an adult? Like, you're wasting so much money going to these universities for these frivolous degrees. I'd argue get into the trades, and the automotive trade is one of those trades that can pay off.
Yes.
Well,
like you say,
to give you a good example, I know tons of people that have business administration degrees, and they're working at Starbucks, McDonald's, et cetera, because it's a dime a dozen.
Yeah, exactly. And like I was saying, if you have an automotive ticket, or you're in the US and you have your ASE Master Tech, if you don't have a job, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, you can always find some place to work. Unless you're a meth head or something's really wrong with you.
Yeah, something's really wrong with you.
But, you know, it's true. They've been pushing the non-skilled trades for such a long time. and they filled up the capacity of the university and the colleges with non-trades. I mean, they've made so many mistakes on doing this. I remember years ago, they taught everybody that the best field to get into was fixing computers. And that didn't work out too good either. So, you know, the governments themselves are promoting this idea of going to university. And in Ontario, they will let you go to university for free and have the taxpayer pay for it if your income level is below a certain level. And everybody who qualifies says, we're going to university. So, I mean, there you go, right? So people aren't going to university a lot of times because, you know, they're going to actually use their trade. They're going there because it's free now. You know, they think it's free, but somebody's paying for it.
Yeah, somebody's paying for it, and that's really what it comes down to. And yeah, no, it's just a travesty, man, in my opinion. It's a huge waste of time where, like, even if you don't want to get into the trades and you want to get into, you know, something else, and it may require, you know, some college degree, go try it first. Go be an intern first. Work for free if you have to, instead of paying for college, and find out if you actually are interested in that kind of work.
Yes.
There's a way of doing that in the auto trade. Go to a tire shop, work as a tire guy for a year at you know, 18, coming out of high school. And if you don't like it, then you'll know right away you don't like working in a shop.
Yeah, there's an independent shop up the road from me here, and they've had mechanic for hire sign out there for 2 years. I don't know if they just go through a lot of mechanics a lot of times, or nobody wants the job, but that sign's been out there for 2 years and has never been taken down yet.
That's a mistake.
You know,
to always have now hiring.
Yes.
Like, if it's out there long enough, you almost want to be like a graffiti artist to say, like, I mean, no, like, hiring always. You know?
Nobody wants to work there, I think. But
yeah, it just tells you that, like, either you got a high turnaround for a really good reason because it sucks.
Yeah, that would be a red flag. Don't work there because it sucks.
Was it James Mickelson? He says, yes, I was in a union in Alberta working for Finning. And Finning, for you guys that don't know, that's an outfit that works with Caterpillar machinery. So, yeah, I've known guys that worked for Finning, and they love their careers.
Yes.
Lucas Stone says, touch on buying your own tools, please. And
good and bad.
Michael, you want to hit that one first?
If you want to be in the auto repair business, you got to like tools because you're going to need a lot of them.
Michael, do you get a tax exemption on the tools that you buy every year?
Yeah. You get to
we never had that. We never had that in Canada. I think the last 4 years is the only time they brought that in.
I mean, it has to be above the minimum. You know, there's a whole bunch of rules for deducting them, but yeah, you can deduct them as a cost of doing business.
Yeah, we have deductions here, but it's not a lot.
I think it's $300 or
what you're
something.
gonna buy.
Yeah.
I think it's like up to $1,500 worth of tools. You can write it off, but you don't get back $1,500, right?
No, you don't get back.
They've got some mathematics that their accountants tinker with, and then they tell you this is what you get back, and you can't argue with them. They won't budge.
So what happens if you go to work in the morning and all your tools are stolen out of the shop, Clyde?
Well, I have insurance on my tools.
Thomas, what about you?
As the shop supposedly has insurance, but if the whole shop got raided, the insurance wouldn't cover everything. So I actually should be getting third-party insurance myself or separate insurance myself on my own stuff. But I've been dragging my butt to do that for quite a while.
And if you had to replace your toolbox, Thomas, you got 3 toolboxes, probably $40,000?
No, I'm probably between 60 and 80.
60 and 80. There you go.
But no real value that I know for 100%. Just because also, you know, what is it? They always say tool degradation or depreciation, right?
Depreciation.
You'll never get back what you put into it. And
if that were to happen, You wake up in the morning, you go in there, and your tools are all gone. You can't work.
No, exactly. And then I would have to wait. The boss or somebody would still figure something out. I either take my holiday and I get paid holiday anyways, and then hopefully by the time the holiday is over, I would have some tools to continue working. But you know, so there is a bit of a workaround, but it would obviously have to be taking holiday when I didn't expect it, right? But
Yes.
at least that would be then, like I said, I would get paid for not being at work.
Yes.
Yeah, I have insurance that's tool replacement insurance. So it doesn't matter about the depreciation. It's if it's all stolen, I keep an inventory on mine and everything will be replaced at current market value.
A friend of mine takes a picture of all the tools he has in his tool cabinet, and he has to verify all the tools that he has for the insurance policy.
Yeah. Over the years, I've been wanting to do a cataloging of stuff that I have, but because I'm not as organized as the Flatrate Master, it's not as easy for me to do. I would have to go nitpick through every single drawer and then hold everything up, one by one. It would be like a 20-hour video probably, but that would be an incentive, like I said, to do a live stream of my toolbox. People for years have been wanting to see a toolbox tour of mine. And if I did make a video, at least I would then have some video proof of the stuff that I have, right?
You did a toolbox tour because I got to see it.
Yeah, I know way back when, but that was under private. Hardly anybody saw it, so.
I'm special.
Yeah.
If you wanted to use that for insurance purposes, you'd have to do a toolbox tour like once a year.
Michael's been following me since before even YouTube. I was on the Bentley forums, automotive tech forums, answering questions and stuff and helping out. And he's been following me since then already.
Wow, I did not know that.
And
I don't know how you guys have the time for that when you're at work.
He tracked me down. He actually knows where I work. He knows my real name as well.
I don't even know how to say that right now.
Yeah, my real name is Reinhold.
I talked to Clyde about that because he doesn't even know your real name.
No, I just know Thomas.
Well, that's all you need to know anyway.
And we've met in person. Like we did a video together.
But yeah, he mentioned he was on IATN one time, and I was watching him. And I'm like, I got to find this guy. I got to just know where he's working, where he is. And IATN's search through Canada sucks. So I literally had to go through every province in Canada. And I obviously was bored that day because I went through every province in Canada and found a Thomas, where he lives, and like clicked on it, and he had, like a couple posts, and one of them was a picture of his bay, and I'm like, I got him.
That explains the gray hair, all that searching.
Yeah.
No, it's from the kids.
So there's only one guy out there that can dox you currently, Thomas.
Who's this?
Michael. One thing that cracked me up, Michael, on one of your latest videos was the William Shatner comment that just dummied me. I fell right out of my chair with that one. For you guys that don't know, there's Michael, the Flatrate Master, did a video recently about just people. It was more of a rant video griping about people on the internet and just stuff that they say in the comments section. And one of them was people criticizing you for the long pauses in your speech.
I mean, that's how I talk, and I mean, it's like, okay, you want me to not talk like I normally do, so it's, not natural and robotic. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And I thought the William Shatner School of Acting was, pretty funny, so I used it.
Yeah, that killed me. I love that.
Or the comment that I was fast and slow on a time-lapse video.
Ugh, yeah, I mean, some people, they watch videos and you have no idea where they get what they're saying from. If like, did you even watch the video? You know? Yeah, not sure. So, was there any other points that you brought up, Steve, Rob, in your video? Because this is the whole reason why we're doing this live stream is that.
Well, another point that I'm going to bring up in the future is female techs in the automotive industry.
Well, that one's come up a few times now on a few different channels, and Michael, you brought that up in one of your videos.
Yes, but not the reason why there's no female techs in the automotive industry, but when you take a look at YouTube itself, you're hard pressed to find a comment from a female on most of the automotive channels. They're just not there. And is it mostly male-oriented YouTube? I don't think so, because there's a lot of females on YouTube as well. And a lot of people have been shut out of the automotive field on YouTube because of the format. Most people who make automotive YouTube videos do not make them for people who are just beginners. It's got to the point now where every channel I watch is mostly an advanced channel for automotive. And the people who are creating the videos are not making how to do an oil change like they did 5-6 years ago on YouTube, you know, or how to, you know, do the basic maintenance on a vehicle. It's progressed to the point now where a lot of the people like myself, the do-it-yourselfers, have almost as many tools as the automotive techs themselves. And I don't want to watch a channel that is showing me, you know, how to do basic stuff. So the creators have all gotten together. If you look at most channels, they don't do that much basic stuff because their audience really doesn't want to see it. And of course, that shuts out anybody like female, you know, participants who just want to learn and do stuff, you know, in the beginning.
Well, I don't think that's entirely true. Like if you look at Chris Fix and Brian's Mobile.
No, I never watched that channel. I never watched that.
No, I'm not saying go watch it, but
I mean, Chris Fix and Scotty Kilmer. I mean, I like to watch a channel that has more than a 4-minute video, you know, to do a procedure. I mean, I like watching a 50-minute video on somebody doing something, but you can't show anybody how to do anything in 4 minutes.
How do you come to watch my videos then? Mine are so condensed.
You know, I mean, this idea of you know, of making a 4-minute video, I mean, you can only get so much out of it. I mean, and that's what I like. But I mean, a lot of females don't watch YouTube for that specific reason, is because they don't know what you're doing. And I mean, I've got 6 people that I use as a focus group, and I contact them and I survey them and I ask them these questions about different things. And yeah, nobody's out there with an automotive YouTube channel catering to the female audience, and that's a huge gap.
I'm gonna have to open up a female training shop.
Yeah.
Sorry, my wife was just knocking on the garage door. It's like I'm in a live stream. Hey.
Yeah.
We actually have a dealership out here, like a small little independent shop, and you cannot work there if you're a man. It's all women. It's all women, and they cater to mostly all women.
See, that's just as bad as an auto garage that just won't hire women.
Yes.
In my eyes. I mean, but at the same time, like women getting into the industry, you got to understand you're getting into a field that is predominantly men.
Yes.
And I think you summed it up really good, Michael, in your video where you said, like, if you got a shop full of pigs, well, then maybe those guys need to shape up, like and be more professional. But at the same time, we don't have any room for, you know, like snowflake women that want everything catered to them or use it as an excuse, essentially. like you wouldn't want a woman coming in and being like, well, you know, I have this thing that I'm a woman, that's why I can't do this task. And you're like, no, it's part of the job. You got to be able to do it.
Yes.
And that's it. Just we like the idea of equality. So if you want to come into the shop and you want to work, you can work equally with everybody else, right?
Yeah.
Give you the opportunity.
I can remember working in the auto plants in the early 70s, and there was no women. There were no women hardly at all. And then they slowly came in, and I'm going to do a video on that, on women in the workforce. And I'll tell you something, I learned a lot of life lessons on realizing that women are fantastic to work with, and I would take women to work with today over men. And it's very, it's very simple, because when they first started going into the automotive field, there were so many stereotypes, how they couldn't do the jobs, and they weren't strong enough, and all this kind of stuff. That was all proven wrong. And now out here, we have 40% of our population in the auto plants are women. And it's just fantastic. And not one woman in the auto plants is allowed to have any type of special treatment or anything like that. Where years ago, there were jobs actually labeled saying, no, that's a woman's job. These jobs are only for women, because they couldn't lift so much weight, they couldn't do this, and they couldn't do that. Well, all them things are gone today. It's completely equal. And when I was doing training at General Motors, man, you couldn't pay me to work with guys. Most of the time, they would not pay attention. They couldn't remember nothing, and everybody was an expert. And I would much rather work with a woman that doesn't have a clue what's going on, but she's interested in learning. And, you know, I found it completely opposite to what a lot of stereotypical people think about women in the workforce. I don't understand why there's not as many women in the workforce in the automotive sector. It doesn't make sense to me, but.
Well, I think it makes sense to me. It's just like, typically women have different interests than men. It's just a normal thing, right? Not a lot of women are like, yeah, this is what I aspire to do, where men are more keen on getting into like physical trades, right? But that's not to say that women that are interested in it can't join in. I mean, if that's your interest, get in there, do it, join us.
I think a lot of it has to do with money, because you take a look at the largest utility in North America, Ontario Hydro. They have a large population of women, and they're all electrical engineers, electricians, a lot of women in the field, but they're also making fantastic money. I mean, you know, and that's where I think a lot of the trades, if they paid more money, they would attract more people.
Oh, that's true.
They don't have to buy $80,000 worth of tools. You know, women by nature are smarter. They know not to get into the automotive industry if they can't make any money until they have $60,000 worth of tools, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you imagine spending that kind of money on tools, and you wake up one day and you hurt your shoulder and you can't work? What happens? Mm-hmm. See, that's a lot of pressure.
Oh yeah, no, and you know, people look at my videos and they go, "Oh wow, 3 toolboxes." The Husky one is actually just for storage in terms of non-essential stuff. But people think, oh wow, there must be a lot of tools. One of the guys I work with, he's got 3 times as much as myself. You know, he tells me that he's got tools underneath his bed at home. He still has to find room for at work. My boss, you know, when he told my boss that he has more stuff to bring, he's already running out of room in his stall to place stuff. The boss already said, no, you're taking up too much space. You can't bring any more. You know, it's incredible how much money people spend or technicians spend on their tools, you know, and yeah. I've been able to curb myself fairly good, you know, but and I'm lucky because of the fact that I only work on Volkswagen Audi. If I worked on anything and everything like Michael does, I'd need
or me.
Or
work on everything.
I'd need way more stuff. So, you know, and in the end, you know, that was actually one of the questions, the thoughts on buying tools, etc. The only benefit is that if I ever quit my job, that's all coming with me, you know. And if I ever want to sell this stuff, sure, I won't get you know, a dollar for dollar value on it. But if I sell it all for 40 grand and it's worth, you know, 60 to 80, at least it's a bunch of money that I'll have instantly, right?
Have you ever watched a video from the Middle East, Thomas, on some of these guys that are doing automotive repair, and they have no tools? And I watched this one fella, and it was a Toyota Corolla, and he had to replace the head gasket. And I'm telling you, he had like a little 8-quart basket of tools, and he did that whole job. Never had a torque wrench. They don't use torque wrenches over there. You know, they I guess the torque wrench is too expensive. And
Was that?
so, I mean, I thought it was fantastic.
Where was this? Where are you talking about?
This is in the Middle East and Saudi Arabia, this channel that I was watching. And,
that torque feel. They're just really good at the torque feel, are they?
Yeah, just torque feel, and that was it. And the guy was explaining exactly how you can feel how much torque it is. So
I got one better for you. A friend of mine on Instagram sent me a picture. He goes, jumper cables in wherever it was, in Iraq or whatnot. It was 4 guys. They each held their machine guns back to back, the metal touching from battery post to battery post. So the next
wow.
3 machine guns on the positive side, 3 machine guns on the negative side, and they were bridging current like that to jumpstart a car.
Yeah. I mean, I think this idea of the tools is a North American phenomenon. You go down to South America, or if you go to you know, to Russia or some places in the world, the mechanics there don't have the huge big toolboxes.
You make do with what you got, you know, and
yeah, they're dealing with very little.
They don't have that variety in terms of vehicles, right? So
No.
It's all 4 cylinders, less than 2 liters or whatever. Here, I mean, timing chain job on an Audi A4 3.2 liter timing change is 40 hours. There's no way they're going to tackle that, because they're never going to see that kind of car.
No, I mean,
I think tools in the automotive setting is a lot like the education that you invest in, right? You have it as a credential. Like, say you wanted to move to another shop, and you're giving out your resume. You come in for an interview, and they say, "Well, what education do you have?" And then, "What tools do you have?" And it's one of those things that's like just like your education. I have this, and it makes me better at my job, right? Where,
by the way, I got hired because I speak German.
that helps.
Yeah, no, I did. That's what got me my job, I believe. I walked in, you know, right out of college, finished my pre-apprentice course, whatever it was, ELTT, entry-level trades training, and I hit shop after shop after shop, showing them, you know, the schooling that I did. Nobody would hire me because I didn't have tools at the time, so I ended up buying like a Craftsman double box or whatever you call it, with like $1,500 worth of tools. Back then, you could still get quite a bit, and then it wasn't until the shop that I went into and I said on the resume, "Oh, he speaks German." That's when I got hired, right on the spot. Went in on a Friday, started work on Monday.
wow.
Oh, just saying bye, Nikki G. Thanks for coming in. I saw that he's leaving. That gives me hope for working at a tuner shop someday, maybe.
There you go. Yeah. No more arigato.
Yeah. Yeah, it really helps speaking Japanese in the auto trade here in Canada. I've almost never used it for my job, except the odd Japanese customer that comes in that can hardly speak English and help out the service writers. But yeah, I haven't had to use it for anything else other than that yet. But yeah, getting back to the tools, like, yeah, I think tools are up there on par with education, and it shows an employer how serious you are about your trade and work for you, based on how much you're willing to invest yourself into it, right?
Yeah.
I think it's one of the few trades that you have to actually buy your own tools to that extent. A lot of other trades, they don't have big stockpiles of tools like that.
Well, I have a lot of tools that are just necessity, right? You need to have sockets and ratchets and wrenches and stuff. But then I have a lot of tools that make certain jobs easier and faster. So there's tools that bring up the ability to do the job, and then there's tools that bring up your efficiency in doing the job, right?
Yes, but when you think about it, you take somebody who's a, I guess the closest thing would be a millwright. Millwrights have lots of tools as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and a lot of them are more expensive than automotive tools, depending on, you know, what part of the trade you're in. But
yeah, like look at Jerry from the Bullshit Corner. He's a massive collection of tools.
Yeah, and electrician doesn't have, you know, $50,000-$60,000 worth of tools. You know, not all the trades have to have that collection of tools, and it's kind of nice if you open up a shop yourself and you have somebody work for you and they bring all their own tools, and you know, that's a bonus too. But you know, it's not like an electrician showing up with a small little briefcase. You know, it's a big
well, it depends. It depends on if you're an electrician that works for an organization or you're one that's an independent.
Yeah, I mean,
there's not a lot of tools associated with that.
Yeah, I mean, even an independent, they don't have some of this stuff like a $12,000, you know, scan tool, and you know, there's not that much stuff out there in the electrical trade that would be that expensive.
No, but they have a $90,000 pickup, and they,
and $40,000 worth of inventory sitting in their garage.
Yes, yeah. Inventory's huge for electricians. Holy cow! I got a really good friend of mine who's an electrician, and the money that comes in and out of his company is just ridiculous compared to like what he pulls out of it, right? We've got a comment here from Retired PPD. He says a lot of hacks have big boxes, but they don't know what they're doing.
My big box is there because it cleans up my area. You know, before I had the big toolbox, it looked like a mess. You know, I was embarrassed to be working on a bench or at a bench in a corner that looked the way it did. My box aided in making my area look nicer, and I keep it cleaner because of it. So that's the only benefit that I have for the big box.
Is there a lot of hacks in the automotive trade? I think that if you watch enough YouTube, you will see on almost every channel I watch, this vehicle's been at this shop, that shop, this shop. They've thrown parts at it like you wouldn't believe. And now it's on the YouTube channel at their shop getting fixed.
Yeah,
seems to be a big disconnect in what is a certified, you know, a certified trade, when so many are just like, wow, not even close.
Well, there's incompetent, then there's hacks. I put those.
Yeah, there's a difference there. Yeah.
I mean, a hack is a guy that's, you know, doesn't give a rat's ass about what he does to the car. All he cares about is the paycheck, and that doesn't matter. You know, a lot of guys put it on flat rate. I've seen guys that were hourly hack up a customer's car to make their life easier, and they'd get paid the same amount whether they were doing it the right way or doing it the hack way. And then there's different levels of incompetency. You know, sometimes it's a management issue, you know, technician that shouldn't have a check engine light, for instance, or a no start or whatever, gets assigned that car and he's over his head and he winds up chucking a part at it. They bail, you know, the shop bails on it, goes somewhere else, et cetera, et cetera. Then there's just the guys that don't know what the hell they're doing. They've been doing it for 20 years. And, you know, they just don't know what the hell they're doing. And as, you know, somebody said, you know, always says, couldn't fix a sandwich. It's just the way it is. And that's in every business job on the planet. You know, there's people that work at McDonald's that literally can't fix a sandwich.
I just got a super chat from New Level Auto, and his comment just says because.
Right above it, he says, "What's going on here?"
Thanks, buddy. And Ghost My Vlog says I like sandwiches.
But I mean, but you go to like a friend of mine does IT, high level security IT for a large company. And he complains all the time about people that are in his industry making as much, if not more than he is, that can't do their job. It's society. I mean, there's tons of people that can't do their job. I mean, Keith, can tell you about all the hack shops up by him that can't fix a sandwich, but charge up the wazoo for it.
Do you have to be a licensed?
And it also creates like a really bad morale, like when there's a tech working in a shop that's a hack or doesn't know what he's doing. It's really tough to work with people like that. And then there's the people who don't know what they're doing that know everything, the know-it-alls. Those, for me, like personally, those are the hardest ones to deal with.
That was a 9 o'clock gun.
Is that your bedtime alarm there, Steve?
That's the big hound.
I was walking.
Oh, man. Yeah, what I was saying there is the know-it-alls, like the guys that know everything but don't know anything, those are the guys that are the hardest ones to deal with for me, because like if you're an automotive technician, you're working with the scientific method all the time.
Yeah.
So it's like in my shop, we don't do a repair until you can prove it.
Yeah.
And if you come back to the service writer and you're like, yeah, I think it's this, and they're like, well, how sure are you? Because we don't want you throwing parts at this, and then I would come back. Well, okay, well, I'll do some more tests and I'll verify it. You have to verify your stuff.
Yeah.
But is that the norm, or are they still throwing parts at it?
I don't know if it's so much the norm, right? Like, I don't think I'd want to work for a shop that isn't normal.
Because when you're watching YouTube, it's quite common to see that they threw everything at this vehicle but the kitchen sink, and then it shows up on a YouTube channel to get fixed right. So who's throwing all the parts on it all the time? Yeah, and a lot of times they say it was another shop that put everything on there and it's still not running, so they bring it over to another shop to get fixed. So there you go. I think there's a lot of money in replacing parts. Whether you fix the problem or not, there's a lot of money in people that just like to throw parts at it.
Well, and you see that on Identifix all the time. For you guys that aren't in the industry, you don't know what Identifix is. It's a website that you pay a subscription to, and it shows like other technicians go on there and show what the repairs that they did to fix cars. And some of the repairs are hilarious because they're like, oh, confirmed fix, and then you look at the list of stuff that they did.
Yeah. I'll give you.
And then
I got one on that one. I got one on that one.
The funniest one though that I ever seen was all these parts, and then at the very end it said replace the engine.
Wow.
I got one better than that, and I did it. Sprinter van setting a O2 sensor code. Another shop put a Bosch O2 sensor on it, and we wound up putting a Mercedes-Benz sensor on it. Still popped up, and I could reliably get that code to pop up on a test drive. And it would just, while you're driving, it would just flatline. You want what the fix was?
What was it?
Taillight bulb.
It sounds like that.
I'm not making that up. It had a brake light out. I wrote it up for a brake light, but we wanted to make sure the car was fixed and all that. And I went into Identifix through an old shop subscription at that time because I was kind of pulling my hair out. And
I can imagine.
There's a TSB from Chrysler about this problem. A brake light bulb will cause an O2 sensor code. I mean,
That cracks me up. That's really funny.
Talk about
but
a
it
nightmare.
doesn't surprise me whatsoever with that manufacturer.
No.
I was talking to a friend of mine at the Ford dealership, and he had to go in for some new retraining on the 2018s, and he said this has been going on for just over 2 years now. If you're working on the Fords and you disconnect a wiring harness, you can't connect it back together anymore. You have to put a new harness in. Yeah. Yeah. So he said, I don't think anybody in the aftermarket is going to be disconnecting them. Apparently, the way that they're made, it's a one-time connection. And if you disconnect that, you're supposed to replace the harness now.
Yeah, that's,
so under
that's
warranty, they replace the harness.
It's because of the male-female connections, you know, there's sloppage.
Yep. There's sloppage. Yeah.
Sloppage.
Yeah.
Actually has tons of problems with fretting on their terminals.
Invite Keith in. I think he wants to talk in the live chat. But getting back to, you know, those hacks where you're saying that they're replacing anything and everything before and not getting the car fixed. A lot of those shops, they mean well, you know, and again, they lack the trained personnel. We don't have a diagnostician at work, you know, so we basically rely on our own asses. And if we know that we're in over our heads, we're going to cut it short right then and there, and we'll suggest somebody else. And you know, just like transmission work, we don't do any of that stuff here aside from clutches. If it's too involved, we'll send them somewhere else, and we know they're going to be back as long as we're honest. But if we were to ever replace this, that, and the other from A to Z, and not fix the problem, we wouldn't see that customer again, you know. And I think most of those shops that do that, they want to be helpful, they want to fix the car and hope that they fix the car, but by that time it's already too late. They can't go back, you know.
Or they're so short on work coming in that they take a lot of stuff that they really shouldn't.
Maybe, yeah.
You know, that's the other side of it too. Not all shops are busy. I mean, I know shops around me here where I can go by. Even my friend at the Ford dealership, like after Christmas, he's not doing nothing. He's lucky if he's got a couple of oil changes after Christmas. I mean, there's not much work coming in at all, and he's not making anything. So, I mean, a lot of the independent shops, the same way. A lot of times you drive by, there's no cars in there. Everybody's just sitting around. Something comes in, the last thing they want to do is say, no, take it somewhere else.
Sorry, I got distracted. Keith wants to see. He says, "Show me that again, Thomas." What did I show him? Did I flash him unannounced or something?
I think you did this.
Oh, birds and the bees, Keith. This is
and he just left another super chat, so thank you for that. And he says to chip in to buy Thomas a Visa.
Yeah, he's still $1 short from my contribution right at the beginning. Actually, no, sorry, that's false because that's U.S. currency. I only gave 5 Canadian.
Okay, yeah, I think he's like $4 ahead of you then.
Yeah.
No, I'm betting he really wants Thomas to come to Automechanica in Atlanta next year.
Yeah, I'll be in Germany next year. That's my important goal right now that I have to save for. So next year, I'm not going to be able to go anywhere aside from Germany. I was actually
start giving him super chats so you can come to Atlanta.
Yeah, I was invited to go to the Eric O meet last weekend. I kept hush hush because I wasn't sure if people were supposed to know or whatnot. But I was honored to be invited, and I would have gone had I not had my Germany trip next year. And I'm going to be hopefully streaming live from Germany, just like Clyde did with his Japan visit.
That was a lot of fun, man. I had a great time with that. And it helped that I had that mobile gimbal device to keep everything steady when I was, because that was a 2-hour walk through Tokyo in 30-degree weather, humid as hell. That was fun.
I'm hoping to do that with my hometown in Germany where I grew up. My old house is still there, and then basically a stream from there. That would be so cool.
Yeah, wow. How's the internet service over in Germany?
Good enough, but I'm not sure about the cellular stuff. What's Keith writing about Germany? Germany sucks. All the women are too tough.
You got tough broads over there, but it's that lederhosen. It does it to them.
Yeah. Actually, the girls were the dirndls.
Dirndls. Is that the one, the big busty one that just shoves their breast in your face?
That's right. Yeah. The later hosen are for the guys. Yeah, but they do have the nice. They have the opening flap that's easy accessible, right?
Right. That's why there's so many Germans out there.
Hey, I'm supposed to be uploading videos right now or making them public. I might take off.
Well, it was awesome having you come in here, bud.
How long has it been now? Who's got the timer going? It's been 2 hours?
I don't even know where to check the timer on this.
Yeah, it must be close to 2 hours.
Well, you know what I'm going to do is I'm just going to end the live stream. I'm going to stick with the in the Hangouts if you guys are still around, but I'm going to end the live stream here right now. So thanks everybody that's watching, or anyone who's watching after the fact. I just give a quick introduction to everyone who's here again before we take off. Thomas, EXOVCDS, he's got an automotive channel. He mostly covers, well, it's in the title, Volkswagen and Audi, EXOVCDS, so VAGCOM. Say hello, Thomas.
Hey, Keith is upset here. He's already booing us for leaving.
He's booing us for leaving us. Yeah, I don't like to keep these things going way too long, but so we've also got Steve Robb in the chat here. Steve Robb is he's a longtime YouTuber, well, as long as me anyway. And good dude, and he was the one who inspired me to actually put this chat on, and because of a video that he put out recently about being an auto tech. So anyone who's watching this, go over to Steve's channel and watch what actually fueled this discussion at all, and go watch that video. But anyway, say hi, Steve.
Hi, guys.
And we've got Michael, the Flatrate Master. He came in a little later in the chat, and it was a perfect fit because of what we were talking about. We had so much comments about flat rate in the auto mechanic world, so we definitely needed to have someone from that realm to put in their 2 cents. So say hey, Flat Rate Master.
Hey guys.
And I'm hoping what I'll do is after this goes offline, I'll go into the description. I'll leave a link to every one of your channels. So anyone who's watching this can go check out everyone who's in this discussion. But anyway, guys, I'm going to take this offline, and thanks for joining in.
Much appreciated. Thanks. Take care.
See you guys.